Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Journalism and New Media Studies, SOJNMS, Master of Arts, Development Journalism, MADJ, First Year, MDC 003 Media in Development Communication, Block-1 Print Journalism, Writing Skills, Unit-2 Writing for Different Media, 2.0 Introduction. Media is a combination of all the four major components: print, radio, television, and digital. They all form the core of mass media communication. They seem to be interlinked, but one cannot ignore the fact that all the four possess different set of characteristics and style. While the main objective of any piece of writing centers around the readers, viewers, listeners to make them understand the message well, all the genres consist of distinctive qualities that a student of journalism and mass communication must imbibe fully. These skills are the basic tools for strengthening the news writing techniques. In this unit, we shall discuss different sets of writing skills required for each medium and outline the differences and similarities of writing amongst them. It is important to learn these in detail because it will help you to explore the convergence trends and decipher the growing tones and tenor in media. 2.1 Learning Outcomes. After going through this unit, you should be able to outline the basic rules of writing for print, radio, television, and online media. Differentiate between writing for each medium. Write a variety of story genres for all the four media and develop your own writing style and communicate effectively. 2.2 Writing for print. Print media, newspapers, magazines and journals are the oldest forms of communication. Many readers start associating themselves to a particular newspaper, magazine, journal. The beauty of the newspaper is that it becomes an inseparable member of the family that no one wants to replace. In a multilingual country like India, both the regional and the English press have grown immensely, but it is also important to understand that writing for print media requires a set of special skills to reach the audience efficiently and directly. Print journalism represents a very strong form of news writing wherein the account is narrated in a linear fashion. The purpose is to provide the reader with the most important information in simple words. With the advent of television and eventually the new media, the availability of news is constant, and that has transformed the entire approach towards consuming the news. The introductory paragraph of a news story is called a lead. The main objective of the lead is to make the readers inquisitive about the story, to motivate them to read the story and to state the most crucial facts logically and carefully. There are various forms of opening paragraph, such as announcement starts directly with the most crucial information. Riddle starts with a riddle and forces the reader to find the correct answer. Bold and challenging statement. Punchline. Quotation lead begins with a quote. Question lead begins with a question to make the reader curious about the answer. 2.2.1 Techniques of writing. Ability to read, research and develop expertise. Keep your eyes and ears open. Read everything, gather story ideas and think of the focal point. It is also important to research on the subjects of interest and develop expertise. Narrative structure. To keep the news writing component intact, the account is generally narrated in a linear fashion. The objective is to disseminate the most crucial portion of the information and give the readers a deeper understanding of the subject. Inverted pyramid style of writing. Since print media offers limited space, it follows the inverted pyramid model. This means that the most crucial information is placed at the top of the article, news item, news story, while the less important is placed after that. The purpose behind this style of writing is to provide the most engaging or important information immediately to the readers. This style is common in straight news stories. However, it is not necessary to maintain the same rhythm and style in a feature article. Feature stories are accorded ample freedom, allowing for greater use of creativity and experimentation so that one can hold the reader's attention for a longer duration. Style of writing: unlike radio or television reporting, print media can experiment with varied styles of writing and can also include numerous word choices. Writing for the print is generally formal in nature, keeping in mind the target audience and the subject. One can make several changes in the style of writing. But whatever style one adopts, the article or the story must have the ability to grab the reader's attention and keep them hooked to it. A journalist is required to focus on the main point while writing for news. Feature writing can adopt different ways of conveying the message. While news is factual, the feature can be creative. But for both, one must keep in mind the readers who will be reading that piece. 5 Ws and 1 H. Who, what, where, when, why and how are the most basic questions that must be answered in a report. For example, a news story on the UPSC's Civil Services examination topper must provide information about his/her personal and academic background and how did she/he crack the examination, etc. It is not necessary that every story answers all 5 Ws and 1 H, but if any of them is crucial and unavoidable, then it must be answered and everything should flow smoothly in the story. Target audience: since the print media deals with mass audience, it is important to understand that the readers have varied literacy levels. Every story that appears in a newspaper should be written in simple language so that the core of the story conveniently reaches the reader. Similarly, if the newspaper or the magazine is for a niche audience, then the vocabulary should include appropriate terms and expressions to point to some points to remember. Understand the difference between hard news, soft news and features. Write your piece keeping in view the level of the target audiences. Make optimum use of the space word limit allotted. Use formal language. Do not use any slang colloquial words. Do not use phrases unfamiliar to the target audience. Do not write to impress the readers. Stick to facts, especially in hard news. Don't overanalyze or jump to conclusion. Do not plagiarize. Develop your expertise slowly and consistently. Activity 1. Go to a book fair or an exhibition and write a news story for a print medium and then compare the story you have written with the one published in newspapers. What difference do you find? 2.3 Writing for radio. Radio is one of the oldest medium of mass communication. It appeals to different age groups and overcomes the barrier of literacy levels. The basic elements of radio are word, music, and sound effects. These are all sounds carried on the air waves to the listener. All these sounds must be pleasant and expressive for the ears. They must be artistically integrated or mixed to provoke the imagination of the listener. The listener creates his/her own pictures with the help of these elements. While it may appear that writing for radio is simple, one cannot do it without acquiring certain skills. Anyone interested to write for radio should be aware of the fundamental essence of writing for the ear. Since radio is an audio medium, it is connected to our oral sense and every word and the sound linked to it must attract our ears. Writing for radio requires a proper organization of one's thoughts, thorough understanding of the subject, and excellent command of language that the listeners find attractive and worth paying attention to. 2.3.1 Techniques of writing a radio script. Different formats have different styles. Writing for different formats such as radio documentary or feature is very different from writing for radio news. Similarly, writing for a radio advertisement or a radio drama would be different from writing for the radio news. In these formats, the duration, style, language, and the pace would require different treatment. While the message on radio advertisement has to be conveyed more quickly and imaginatively, radio news, being serious in content, can take a little slow delivery of speech so that the essence of the message is fully absorbed by the listener. You will have to keep in mind these basic points before finalizing the script. Radio jingle, documentary, or drama can incorporate many shades of voices and add imagination and creativity to the broadcast, but radio news will have to follow the simplest possible style of communication so that the crux of the news does not get diluted by the incorporating any external element. A radio talk show or an interview allows the panelists to freely express their opinion. Conversational radio is personal in nature, and thus it is very important to give the listener the feeling as if the anchor speaker is individually conversing with him/her. This means that while writing for radio, one should be mindful of the distinct beauty of an intimate conversation between two people. Intimacy. It is important to remember that people may be doing many things while listening to radio. They may be driving, working at home, or doing household chores while listening. That is why the script should be interesting enough to attract and hold the audience's attention and keep them hooked. Writing for the ear, radio has the potential to engage the human mind to think visually and also create images while listening to the voice. This is the reason that the radio is also called the theater of the mind. For example, if you are writing a feature on a railway station, then the script must capture the essence of the atmosphere prevailing at the railway station. This can be done by using the announcements of train schedules, hustle and bustle on the platforms, passengers, noise, sound of the railway's train engines, etc., clarity of thoughts. Writing for radio also requires clarity of thoughts so that the talks or the stories or narration is written in a simple and effective manner. The script for the radio must be concisely written and display personal warmth. While narrating it on the air, ephemeral in nature, radio does not permit the audiences to go back to the same content. Hence, it is important to keep the sentences short so that the words are easy on ear and reach to the listener's mind. One must also avoid the use of difficult expressions and jargons as it may confuse the listeners. For example, instead of using the word baffled, you can use the word confused. Similarly, demolish can be replaced with destroy. Rhyming or similar sounding words such as screen, cream, screen should also be used very carefully. 2.3. Some points to remember. Grab the audience's attention. Write for the ear. Be mindful of 3 C's: clear, crisp and concise. Use present tense. Use active voice. Be selective. Avoid information overload. Avoid jargons. Read the script and revise it before going on air. Speak clearly. Maintain audio quality. Modulate your voice. Avoid sarcasm and poor jokes. Adhere to the time limit. 2.4. Writing for television. Since television is an audiovisual medium, both words and visuals go hand in hand. While radio creates images in the mind, television creates the magic by having both of them together, thus increasing the impact of the telecast. However, as in the case of radio, television also requires certain special skills so that the words and the visuals together fully convey the message. It is a craft which can be developed by anyone with regular observation and practice. 2.4.1 Techniques of writing. A student of journalism must be aware that writing for television requires the skill to create a balance between the pictures and the words. Depending upon the format one has to work upon, the style and the needs of the script are decided beforehand. In the case of a soap opera, the script is finalized word to word before the shoot, whereas in TV news, the script is written after the shoot. For example, script for a soap opera will have dialogues etc. almost fully pre-decided and finalized. However, for a TV news script, you have to keep in view the news elements and the message that has to be conveyed. Log the bytes before putting your words on paper. See the shots first and log the bytes so that you know exactly what and where you need to use them. Logging means watching the entire recorded content and taking exact notes of the sentences. This helps in deciding the duration of the story and makes the editing accurate and contributes during post-production in locating shots and sentences. Logging is also linked to proper storage and labeling of the video. Since TV newsrooms now operate digitally, logging also helps in keeping the exact words in the memory box. Activity 2. Watch a television news bulletin. Compare and contrast the style of the language used on television with a newspaper of your choice. Writing to pictures. Write the script according to the pictures available. Both shots and the words should go together. The purpose behind this is to avoid the obvious. For example, if the shot has a person holding a cup of tea, then you need not write that the person is having tea because that is already visible. Instead, you can use that space and airtime for conveying something which is more important. Know your duration. You should know the time allotted to that particular story so that the script is written accordingly. There is no point in writing a 3-minute story if the allotted time is only 1 minute. Since every second counts in television, one has to stick to the time limit assigned by the news editor. Language, 1 sentence, 1 idea is a common practice in TV journalism. Since different news programs have different sets of target audiences, appropriate style, form and language should be used. For example, a news program for a wider mass audience should be simple and easy to understand, while the programs meant specifically for a niche audience like doctors, etc., can employ technical jargons. Use present tense. TV news is instant. The language of the script must keep in mind the basic characteristic of TV news, i.e., keeping it alive and fresh. Use active voice and present tense which carry an air of urgency. Hence say, wife murders her drunk husband instead of wife murdered her drunk husband. TV newsrooms now offer 24/7 news bulletins, hence the pace and style must convey the sense of immediacy. Dealing with numbers. It is difficult to remember exact numbers on TV, however, this does not mean that numbers are avoided altogether but presented in the easiest possible manner. This can be done by rounding off the figures so that it is easier for the audiences to understand and absorb them. For example, instead of saying that Indian Railways currently operates 4 to 98 trains daily, one can say that the Indian Railways currently operates nearly 14,300 trains daily. If it is very important to use the exact numbers, then one can make use of graphics or pie charts so that the numbers are supported by a diagram and are easily understood. Activity 3. Select any feature story published in an online platform and count the words. Rewrite the same for television in 100 words. Be factual and original. Every part of the story must be based on facts. Doubts should be clarified or else taken out of the script. Working on the dictum. When in doubt, leave out breathing space. The viewer must be allowed a few seconds of orientation before he is prepared to absorb a series of hard facts. Write stories for the people. You should not merely present information, instead transform the information into something of consequence for the viewers watching the program. They need to feel that your stories are meant for them and are relevant for them. For example, a strike by industrial workers might not directly affect the viewers. But if the news says that the strike can cause delay in a particular area and affects them directly, they may find it relevant for them, read and reread before finalizing it. No script is ever perfect, but one must attempt to reach at least near perfection. Read your script aloud and review if there are possibilities of improvement. Ensure that words have a conversational ring and are easy to understand. The sentences are short and simple and the flow of the story conveys the message. Activity 4. Identify one topic for audio and video, keeping in view the strengths and limitations of each medium. Write them in your own words. 2.4. Some points to remember. Use short sentences. Be careful about punctuations. An inappropriate punctuation can make or mar the story. Bytes should be logged accurately. Use present tense. Add breathing spaces. Don't exaggerate. Avoid obvious statements. If the rose is red and the shot is already explaining that, then the script need not mention it. 2.5. Writing for digital online media. Digital online media, being recent forms of mass communication, are constantly evolving and have completely changed the way people consume various forms of media. The digital media have their own dynamics, techniques and concepts, and have developed their distinct styles of writing. Print or TV writing is very different from that of the one written for the screen. Similarly, the pace, approach, and time for consumption of web content is also different. The web content has greater ability to engage the younger generation. Therefore, writing for the online media calls for understanding the needs and preferences of the online users. Online media offers ample space for publishing a story and thus empowers the consumer's readers. On online media, one has the freedom to experiment to make the story look better. It presents opportunities of getting your work published on various platforms such as the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as blogs. It is also important to note that newsrooms across the globe look for people who possess the skills to work in different mass media efficiently. With a constantly growing demand for multitasking and integration of different modes of communication in the form of convergence, knowledge and expertise over all of them would be highly beneficial and rewarding too. 5.1 Techniques of writing. Say more with less. Do not use long expressions nor repeat them. Don't overload the concepts or expressions with too many words. The shorter, the better. Language. Use familiar, meaningful, yet simple words. Write in active voice, since such sentences tend to be short and to the point. Make your language credible. Title. A catchy title is essential for any piece of writing. It must have all the requisite information as the readers notice the title first. It must not exceed 90-100 characters. Always write in title case. Availability of space and length. Though writing for online media does not generally confine the length of the article, it is important that the articles are kept short and smart. The reader does not visit the online media platform to read a very lengthy piece. Rather, he is interested in going through the material quickly and efficiently. Readability. Consumers of the online media are exposed to different sets of media platforms as compared to those who depend on print or electronic media, particularly television. The readers can scan and search for topics or areas of their choice at a very fast pace. They look at bullet points and spend minimal time on reading news. Hence, those writing for online media must organize the entire information precisely which the readers can absorb quickly and move forward. It is helpful to have bullet points, bold-face phrases, subheadings, shorter paragraphs and links to make the readability process simpler, smarter and attractive. Navigation design is a process in which all the information is segregated thematically in a website and is interlinked with each other logically for better user experience. Since online writing is frequently associated with web links and other directional resources, one must learn how to write about the data that would be consumed while navigating readers' attention. Online articles have to constantly strive for attention. You start writing with the most important aspect of the story first to grab readers' attention and direct it towards your content and encourage them to stick to the story or the page. With immense competition in the cyberspace and constant innovation in the field, it is imperative that the reader's attention gets drawn to the story and stays with it. Persuasion. One should develop content that creates interest in the target audience. Since most consumers of online media are youth, researching the emerging recent trends in varied areas could be of great value to them. Infotainment is the buzzword in the world of digital media. Developing visual sense. Always remember that rich and attractive graphics can grab readers' attention. Visuals can also enhance the flavor of the story and support in building your narrative immensely. Therefore, make use of powerful visuals to give your readers thoughts to ponder over and increase their eagerness to go through the content. Appropriate captions. Prepare a draft of relevant captions, catchy words and phrases at the first place to increase the power of the story. Use every possible and relevant hashtag like #MediaFightback, #CommunityRadio, etc. Look and feel of the page. Remember that your script should take into account every element of the page, starting from the headline to the opening visual, the copy, quotes and blurbs. All of them together will make or mar the story's intended impact. Thus, some special aspects elements of your script should be kept aside to decorate the blank spaces of the page to make it more appealing to the eye. Power of headlines. Since the consumers of online media are loaded with multiple options for news and views, every word and image should have the power to captivate their attention. This target can be achieved by working diligently on writing and drafting powerful headlines. Your headlines should clearly reflect what your article is all about. Bullet points. While radio and television do not permit to have a voiceover in a bullet format, this formula will work well in the digital media. With lesser attention span, bullet-style format allows more information in lesser time. It permits the essential breakup of the texts and keeps the plot flowing to hold the reader's interest. Thus, it facilitates the reader to absorb the subject matter quickly. Such short snippets are more eye-catching as well as convenient to read. Search engine optimization. SEO. Try to learn about the tools for increasing visibility of your story or the website so that it reaches out to a wider audience. Quality control. It is useful to work in a team that is entrusted with the responsibility to fine-tune the content for quality control. This will ensure credibility for both you as a journalist and also for the site online platform you are engaged with. Fake news. Always cross-check the facts before putting a story online. Ensure that it is not fake news. Activity 5. Collect any two news stories from online media. Analyze how these can be written for both television and radio. 2.5. Some points to remember. Pick up topics which attract users' attention and interest. Make the first sentence impactful and attractive. Provide new perspectives to your arguments. Use meta keywords. title and description so that your writings attract large audiences via search engine optimization, SEO, when writing listicles, X books to read or X things to eat in CP. Always write the number first I.E, 5 books to read, 7 places to visit, etc. That makes it more pointed and easy to remember. Know that you are writing for people with short attention span. Expect people to arrive anywhere on your website therefore. Every page should be easy to scan and tell what your site is about. Each page should have a call to action, telling people where to go next. Don't overuse terms as repetition makes your piece boring. Use hyperlinks wisely. Include links to relevant pages related to what your article is about. Cross-check facts to avoid fake news, which will impact the credibility of your website. Keep updating your post activity. 6. Pick up any news story from a newspaper. Rewrite the same for radio, television, and for the online media, keeping the points discussed in this Unit 2.6 summary. In this unit, we have discussed various skills required for writing for different forms of media. Print media is meant for the literate educated audiences, while television and radio cater to everyone irrespective of their educational background. Similarly, the biggest consumers of online media are youth, and thus, writing for the new media requires an in-depth understanding of the requirements of the younger generation. It was further discussed that in this age of multitasking, it will be useful for you to develop writing skills in different forms of media. Redrafting and editing your own script helps to refine your work and in turn develop requisite confidence to build your base in journalism. So, always be mindful of the techniques of writing for media while you consume it so that this practice becomes a habit. You should critically watch, read, listen, review and learn, and keep improvising your skills and competence. After going through the unit, it would be clear that each form of communication has its own duty and requirements. Writing for any media platform requires regular practice, improvement and introspection. You should keep reading the writings of senior journalists on the latest trends in writing for media and updating your tools and professional attributes. The more you compare your script with the scripts written by your competitors, the more you will learn and improve your skills. This will keep adding to the process of your learning and enable you to reach greater heights in your career. Thank you. Subscribe to our channel for more updates, and we will see you with the next chapter.